Today's question is a logical completion question or an inference question. The goal here is to find the statement that best fits to that blank, that follows logically, not only from the passage as a whole, but especially from the sentence that contains the blank. So let's go ahead and read this. And as we read, we want to determine what follows, what will follow in this blank. Given that, looking at the sentence with the blank in it, we start this sentence with therefore. Therefore, it can be said that blank. So what's going to go in the sentence will be some sort of conclusion that we draw based on pretty much everything that we read before it. And we want to make sure when we evaluate our choices that we don't pick a choice that just goes too far out in left field, that just brings in random stuff or draws conclusions that can't be fully supported by what we read in the text. So let's read and see what we've got. Hydrogen is viewed as a promising alternative to fossil fuel, but the methods used to make it either generate too much carbon dioxide or are too expensive. Rice University devised an innovative new technique to convert waste plastics, including mixed waste plastics that don't have to be sorted by type or washed, into high-yield hydrogen gas and high-value graphene. If the produced graphene is sold at only 5% of current market value, clean hydrogen can be produced for free. By comparison, green hydrogen, produced using renewable energy sources to split water into its two component elements, costs a hefty $5 for just over 2 pounds. Therefore, it can be said that blank. So everything leading up to this has been focusing mostly on the economics, the efficiency, the feasibility, the commercial viability of producing hydrogen according to this method, especially in comparison to the green methods. So if I were to make a prediction, which is sometimes a good idea, it can be hard to predict exactly what's going to go into this blank, but having some sense before I go to the choices, what I'm looking for, just gives us a starting point, and it focuses us where our attention should be, which is on the text itself. So my prediction is going to be something to do with the value or the monetary efficiency of this approach, right? It's not as expensive as other options, and we can see that especially given the previous sentences contrasting this with the expense of the green option. So let's evaluate our choices. A, green hydrogen remains an expensive but eco-friendly choice. Now this seems to be, while it is related to the previous sentence, the focus here, given that we're starting the sentence with therefore, should be something that essentially summarizes this text as a whole. And so focusing on green hydrogen, which, yes, it appears, but it appears in literally only the previous sentence, does not seem like a good idea if we're trying to summarize and conclude this paragraph. It says nothing about the other form of hydrogen and the other method by which hydrogen is produced. So even if this follows from the previous sentence, it doesn't really follow from the text as a whole. And so for that reason, I think we can find a better choice. How about B? The benefits of this promising method may persist even if there's no global demand for graphene. Now, this is in contradiction with this sentence because part of the theory here is this method produces hydrogen and graphene, and if you could sell the graphene, you'll sort of pay for the hydrogen. You'll get the hydrogen for free. So if it turns out that there is no demand for graphene, you can't sell the graphene, I don't know if B would make sense in that case, because the whole point of this is you're supposed to be able to sell the graphene to pay for this. And if you can't sell the graphene, it sort of undermines the logic of why this method could be viable, especially in comparison to the other methods. So I don't think B is going to be a good answer here. How about C? The generation of hydrogen gas through this technique could more than pay for itself. So this looks good for two reasons. First, it goes with that highlighted sentence where, again, if you just sell your graphene at 5% of the market value, you will pay for the process and you'll get that hydrogen for free. So that's good, but you can imagine if you were to sell it for 10% or 15% or 100% of market value, you'd make quite a bit of money. So more than just paying for itself, it would more than pay for itself, right? You get profit on top of getting that hydrogen. And again, this is also works with the previous sentence where you're sort of contrasting, here's what you would have to do, what you'd have to pay to get hydrogen with the other method. You'd have to pay $5 for 2 pounds, which is quite hefty. So this method, if you can get it not just for free, but even make more money on top of it, indeed, I think you could say it could more than pay for itself. So this follows very nicely on the sort of some idea of the previous sentences. So I like choice C so far. How about D? The carbon footprint of fossil fuel derived hydrogen continues to be a significant concern. I mean, I'm not sure where this comes up. I guess it very briefly mentioned that it doesn't even talk about fossil fuel derived hydrogen. So this is one of those choices that's just random. It's bringing up something never really discussed, never mentioned. Even if it's mentioned briefly in the beginning, it's not really what the focus of this passage is about. So be careful on those choices that bring up random stuff. If it's random and unjustified and unprompted, it's probably not going to be a good answer. So our best answer here is C.